Hey, how you all going? Just wanted to jump in quickly before we kick this off to let you know that there was a bit of a fuck up. The fuck up was possibly me, but I'm not too sure. What happened, we recorded the whole podcast, had some drinks afterwards. Jackson went home. I got stuck into putting the video together and doing some editing, and as it turns out, no video existed. No photos existed either, which we took a few of those, which is kind of weird. There was some kind of issue with the gimbal not downloading to my phone, something like that. If you're wondering what a gimbal is, it's this thing I've got in my hand that I'm moving around with that keeps everything nice and smooth as we are going. So anyway, technology aside and the issues, I did manage to get a really good audio recording of all of it. So that's what you'll get from now on in, plus you'll get a photo of both our mugs that aren't moving at all. Which is unfortunate because we got quite animated by the time we were halfway through and finished our Long Island iced teas. Anyway, it was a good chat. And hopefully you like it. And you know, if you want to come by and have a chat and do a podcast, hit me up on Facebook Messenger or something like that, and let's do this. So all right, sit back, get into it. Cheers. See ya. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. How about yourself, Jimmy? It's been a while.
It has, man. Cheers.
You know, cheers to you. Thanks for the Long Island iced tea.
That's all good, man. Thanks for coming in, being the first guest,
dude, it's
on the
honor.
podcast.
It's an absolute honour. It's been well overdue to do it, you know?
It has. How long have we known each other, you reckon? I was thinking about it the other day.
5 or 6 years now, mate, but closer to 6, I think.
Yeah. Like fucking pre-COVID, before shit got real crazy.
Yeah, well, I think it's when I started coming up here working for Vamped Up through those channels, and that was back in 2019.
Yeah, right. Fucking long time ago.
A long time ago. I remember seeing Dark Cell discuss Nuclear Vision at the old Crowbar one night.
Yeah, right.
And Pamela offered me a job out the front, you know.
So you were doing some video stuff for her or something back then?
I originally worked behind the scenes as a videographer for her, with a guy named Joe McPhail, and her nephew Aiden.
Yeah.
So that's where I initially got into the media side of things to what I do. But before that, in 2018, Pamela had heard of me. She did a Vamped Up interview with me when I released a single called Sinner's Sanctuary.
Yeah.
Which was between my ends of my solo project and the starts of Righteous Death.
Was that like a... Can I remember? Was that like a more of a hard rock type thing back then or something? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I come from a very hard rock background, hair metal sort of.
Yeah.
So,
cool.
And then I branched over into heavy metal.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, to the point that when I told everyone I'm doing a metal album, they told me I wouldn't be able to do it. And then all of a sudden, 18 months later, that's when Righteous Death first album came out.
Yeah, man. People always want to tell you don't do something and not have faith in you. I think that's the best thing because I think it motivates you to actually do shit.
It just puts fuel to the fire and it motivates me to actually pull it off.
Yeah.
So if someone tells me I can't do something, it's just like, okay, I'll put my money where my mouth is, you know?
The haters, work against the haters, which is what this podcast is about. So, well, let's step way further back, right? The current project's Righteous Death. We'll get to that.
Yep.
But let's go back. Let's get the story of Jackson Marshall from a young fella. Like, give us the history. What brought you to the point now? You know.
Well, it started back in 1996 when I was about 6 years old, and my dad had this album, and the first track was Come On Feel the Noise. It was like a compilation album for the time period.
Yeah.
And it was Quiet Riot's version. And that intro, that boo-cha, boo-cha, boo-cha. I wanted a drum kit from that point.
Yeah.
And little did I know, Randy Rhoads Association with Quiet Riot years on. So, and Randy Rhoads, one of I aspired to be like Randy as a guitarist.
Yeah, okay.
So
you're aiming low.
Yeah, you know, aiming a bit low, but you know, Randy Rhoads, Zakk Wylde, I kind of followed all of Ozzy's guitarists.
Yeah.
But yeah, originally started in 96. Then I merged onto guitar by 8 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, my parents didn't mess around. As soon as I got a drum kit, my mum put me in drum lessons a week later.
Yep.
And I did that from 6 all the way through to 12, and with the one drum teacher
Okay.
as well. So the cool thing is he taught me syncopation, he taught me all the paradiddles, taught me how to read music from a very young age. But the cool thing is, I tell a lot of people this, I was reading music before I could do English assignments or read properly books at school.
It's different. As I was a bit the same. So I kind of I started playing piano when I was like 5 years old or something.
There you go. Yeah.
5, 6 years old. I learnt piano and started learning music, and I was the same. Like, I couldn't write you an essay, but I could play you a tune on piano and read the music. But
that's it, eh?
and then it takes you on different adventures. As I did that, and then went to saxophone. I played saxophone in the primary school band.
There you go. Yeah.
And I was pretty good at it. By end of primary school, I was the lead sax in the band, and then got to high school, and my parents sneakily put me in the music class.
Okay, yeah.
So I was in the class with all the fucking nerds, and I was not a nerd. I was a troublemaker, always was.
Yep, that's
but,
so
played sax in the school band, and then it got to a point with me where I'm like, because by that point, I'm going into high school, like end of primary school, I'd started listening to like Guns N' Roses.
Oh, yeah.
And Metallica, and like things like Aerosmith and Motley Crue and all that kind of stuff.
I actually went through a 15-year phase loving all those bands.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking early 90s, because I'm fucking 15, 16 years older than you are.
Yeah, definitely.
And then it got
you were there for the time period.
Yeah, it got to the point, and it was like, man, none of the music I listen to has saxophone in it, so I started playing guitar.
Oh, there you go.
I always had guitars.
A little bit of In Excess.
Yeah. In Excess, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I know, a bit too poppy out.
But yeah, so anyway, so there's my story. I've just jumped in and hogged your limelight. But
yeah, I do.
After
great.
After your drums, you've now gone on to guitar. So
Yep.
how old are you then? You're still kind of like
about
10 or
8.
10, 12 or something older?
I was about 8 when I started guitar.
Yeah.
And my parents didn't mess around then, because I got my guitar, would have been actually 7 turning 8, end of 97 Christmas. And when this next school semester started and guitar tuition started up, I was straight into guitar lessons.
Yeah.
So, my guitar teacher, his name was Brad. He taught me from 8 to about 15.
Yeah.
So he taught me all the theory and everything I needed to know, and it got to the point that maybe 2 or 3 years in, it was, alright, I'm loving Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, all these songs. So since I knew a lot of chords and scales, started on pentatonics, I started learning all those bangers, and I was soloing to those songs. Like, it's funny because I've even redone a few of those songs years later. I haven't played them. It's funny because I learned a lot of those solos back when I was a kid. So there's that moment when you pull out a song years later. I believe that our brain holds so much memory.
Yeah. You remember the solos.
Yeah, and then it's just like, all right, you're doing the second chorus. You know the solo's coming up, and you're in your head going, okay, what's the starting point again?
Yeah. Yeah, where's that first note?
Yeah, like for You Shook Me All Night Long, we know that's in G, for example. So it's like, okay, the starting note's in G. So it starts with a bend on the 5th fret. On the 4th string down, then it goes up.
Yeah.
So
it's unusual. I know myself, like, there's solos I learnt when I was younger, and like the first couple of solos I learnt was Sweet Child of Mine.
Yep, that's a great one, hey.
And I didn't fuck around. I got straight into some hardship. I need to learn solos. Teach me some solos.
Yeah.
And I've barely played those songs in probably since I was 20 years old. So let's say 20 years.
Yeah.
And I can still fairly well remember them fucking note for note. Like, it just doesn't go away.
It doesn't, does it?
And I actually got to play, so a few years back, my sister got married, went over to New Zealand. And like a week before I went, she's like, "Oh, can you play a couple of songs with the band over here?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, sure. What do you want?" And she wanted me to play. There's a Bon Jovi song. I can't remember which one it was. It was terrible, but I learnt that and played it. And she wanted me to play "Sweet Child of Mine."
Okay, yep.
And there's that one run in the middle of the "Sweet Child of Mine" solo where he switches up before he hits the wah.
Yeah, there is. Hey?
And I never could play it. I could always be close, and I'm like, I could fucking straight away. I sat down. I played the whole song. Got to that bit. I'm like, fuck.
I found a way to cheat that whole. Well,
there's an easy run. I learn it. I learn it for that. But
I
yeah,
do around
like,
the 12th and 14th.
Yeah.
Fuck around there instead of doing it down here.
That run up.
Yeah. So there's I cheat a lot of stuff. When it comes to stuff, but it sounds like it could fit.
Yeah.
It's in the same key.
I think we all do, don't we?
I think we all do, unless we sit there and learn something note by note.
Yeah.
I think we judge it based on the key it's in, and we take it.
And you can learn it. You can learn it note by note. I think sometimes, and depending which tab you got, because they're never always fucking right.
Yeah, because always someone else's interpretation of how they perceived it, then they write it out themselves.
Different fret position, different ways to play it. But yeah, you can learn them note for note as per the tab, and you're like, nah, it doesn't sound right to me. Something's not right about it. But I found that learning solos, and then
yep.
you're like, oh, this is how I think it sounds, and then you play it, and you're like, that's fucking way better.
Oh, definitely.
You kind of get it. Like, you got to get in the feel and go with it. So.
And also, like, being a producer this day and age, it's funny because I listen to some classic songs and I go, they could have added a bit more elements into it. But then I go...
just some overdubs or something?
Yeah. Or underlying.
Yeah.
And stuff. And it's funny because I say to myself, if they did that, would it ruin that masterpiece? Or is it just how...
If it became too overproduced? Yeah, I don't know.
As sitting in a producer's seat, you have to be... There's a fine line between overproducing in the studio to pulling it off live. So I guess with me personally, I make sure that you can hear a dominant 2 guitars as well as bass and drums. If there's any overlays or stuff like an acoustic somewhere, it's like... As long as we could pull it off live without that, but in the studio, it gives it that vibrance.
I guess an example of that one lately was the Cavalier Brothers redoing the Steppers albums.
Oh, yeah.
And the production is like fucking top notch. Like, it sounds like modern metal.
Yeah.
But then you listen to it and Max's vocals. It's still got that dodgy old fucking echo on it. You know, that dodgy reverb they used to have on the early albums. And I was like, the music sounds really good. And then he starts screaming. It's like, I know you did that because that's how it originally sounded, but it was like,
they have to redo it.
Does it make it good? Does it make it bad? I enjoyed it, but I was just like, fuck, that's strange. Like, the production of the music sounds so good because those old albums.
That early stuff almost fell into black metal.
Yeah. And it sounds like it's recorded in a tin shed, which is the sound.
The cold underground sound of the time period, right?
Yeah.
It's funny because when I was watching Lords of Chaos, and there's a scene and Ron's going, oh yeah, there's these extreme metal bands in Brazil and all that. I kept on thinking Sepultura.
Yeah.
But for that time period, they really had that extreme sound on their early albums.
They were, yeah. No, I didn't catch on to them till I was in high school, and they released Chaos AD. I remember listening back to the earlier stuff, and I was like, I don't really like this. It's a bit too death metal for me. It grew on me. Arise eventually grew on me.
Yeah.
You know, the earlier stuff I'm still a bit funny, but seeing that show recently is fucking good, man.
Oh, dude,
they are so
insanely awesome. Was that the Tivoli?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, I saw all the advertisements, and under circumstances, I would have loved to have been there, but under my circumstances, I was down back in New South Wales.
Yeah, down there.
Back down to where I grew up.
Yeah. Let's get back onto that, because we've gone off. We're talking about Max, who is God. But anyway.
He's a god, isn't he? Good old Max Cavalera.
So, yeah, you're doing all the lessons and stuff. You're going through that. And then, so how do you get to your first kind of musical project, and what was that?
My first musical project back in the day? I guess it was me and my friends in high school. Because by the time I was in high school, I'd already played music all through primary school.
Yeah.
So, as soon as high school happened, I remember my first music lesson in music class. And it's like, I'm on the drum kit. And all the kids just literally stopped. Because I'm there doing stick tricks and doing Tommy Lee style stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and being a drummer, I don't like going like that. I'm more like swapping the hands on the hi-hat.
Yeah. Put some motion into it, which is good.
Put some motion and swinging around on between cymbals, you know. Put stick tricks in there. If the ceiling's high enough, I do this thing where I hit the rim of the snare. The stick goes up, I catch it without missing the beat.
Yeah.
You know, I learned how to do all that by the time I was 13.
So do you play much drums now, still? Or?
I actually haven't played drums professionally in about 5 years.
Yeah.
I did track a few live drums on my last Righteous Death record when I first moved up here.
Yeah.
Thanks to a few friends who let me use their studios and let me use their kits. Had a few songs written. I figured out the tempo, so I laid out the drum tracks with a click. This last album, I actually used the click on a lot of stuff, which I didn't do much of previously. So that was a new element, and then all the guitar parts and bass and everything was done through my home studio at home. Then Johnny came into the mix, and a lot of these songs were recorded 3 years prior to the album coming out. Musically.
So who's Johnny?
Johnny Crypt. He was actually a Facebook friend, but he's known within the metal scene down in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And I put up status going, I'm looking for a singer. I've got all these demos, like a back catalogue of demos, which I need a voice to. I guess when I left Lismore, I used to be able to write lyrics. But at the same time, I didn't have my muse, which was my ex-girlfriend of 11 years.
Yeah, right,
You know, because she was cool, and we've actually caught up recently.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
we've actually talked about our past. She's got 2 beautiful kids now, which I could have never given her.
Yeah.
So, there's no animosity or nothing there, but it's good that we're in contact. Apparently, my old drum kit is at her ex's house.
Okay.
So
because I know one part you thought that had all kind of been sold off or disappeared, but some of it's still there.
But a lot of my stuff is actually in Babylon.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, you know, I don't hold my breath on it. You know, when I first moved up to the Gold Coast 5 years ago, I think after the first 2 or 3 months, it was like, I just have to for me to move on, just have to put it in the back of my memory and go, I have to cut my losses.
But there's a glimmer of hope there that it is there. So.
Yeah. It's so funny that 5 years, I know where some of my old music is, but there might be a fight if I showed up to the place.
Yeah, right.
To grab my stuff, so I'm just avoiding it.
let's jump into that time. Let's jump into that time period, right? Because I know when you're talking about. I remember this all happening.
Yeah.
And this all followed another event that you were very popular because of, involving the burning of a church.
Oh yes,
and that was the alleged burning of a church. Let's talk about that.
Let's just say it happened at the right timing. Yeah. It was the day before my 2 single. I had 2 tracks, so instead of doing 1 single, I thought, why not release 2 singles?
Yeah.
Of my new project at the time. And since it was bordering onto a black metal project, the day beforehand, it was like, my dad calls me, did you hear what happened to the cathedral? It's like, nah. And he told me, someone set on fire.
Yeah.
I was like, oi, my Righteous Death debuts tomorrow. You know, I could do a throwback on Norway Hill.
Yeah.
You know, in black metal. So I didn't think much of it. I honestly didn't think it would go viral.
Yeah.
The problem there is I thought maybe 10 people would see it and go, ha ha.
Yeah.
But since it went viral and all that, it kind of was, you know, this is kind of, I was unexpected.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
5 years on, it astounds me because people remember me for it.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of like, I said to Dad after I was released from the police station, I go, there's my backstory in Legacy to Righteous Death.
It's definitely where you popped up in my social media and I started seeing a lot more of you. But it's
Yeah.
good you've said it all because it answers my question. And for those who don't know, Jackson didn't actually burn the church. He just claimed to do it. And when it happened, I thought, that's either the fucking stupidest thing you could do ever, or it's fucking super intelligent and fucking super like smart move for the promo. And
exactly.
You've just answered that question why. So,
but I couldn't tell anyone at the time. I had to leave a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Because the mistake would have been gone if I told everyone straight away.
Yeah.
So I let a cliffhanger last for maybe 2 days.
Yeah.
Before telling everyone I'm in a lot of shit now from this. You know, I've been arrested for public nuisance via social media, which was a new charge. You know.
Yeah. I didn't know that part of it. Yeah.
So it took the cops 7 hours to find a charge on me after being released.
Yeah.
And they showed up my doorstep at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Fucking hell.
And it's just like 7 cops.
Yeah.
And it's just like, do you guys really have to put handcuffs on? They go, you're being charged, mate. And I was like, you're putting handcuffs on.
Did they ever find who actually burnt the church?
They actually had the guy in custody when they were interrogating me.
Oh, yeah.
So the funny thing was, by the time I jumped onto it, there was already news articles that they caught the guy through ABC News.
Yeah.
So before I did what I did with the video that went viral, I already knew that the guy in custody. Because ABC News had updated that 20 minutes before I did it.
Yeah.
But the problem was, the cops let the guy out on bail. Like, he didn't see a magistrate, because by this afternoon he wouldn't see a magistrate, so the cops actually let him go that evening. And the big, this is where the plot thickens. The next day, that same dude set fire to church went down the main street of Lismore with a knife threatening to kill people.
Yeah, right. Missed that bit too.
And he was rearrested, but get this, he was wearing a Megadeth shirt. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh shit, you know.
So where is he now? Do we know? Is he in jail?
He's in jail.
Yeah.
But
have you ever caught up with him to thank him? Go for a visit? Thanks,
mate. I tell you what, it never crossed my mind at the time, but people have said to me in recent years, what happens if this guy comes out of jail and he's going to chase you down? And there's animosity there.
I don't know why he'd chase you down. He'd be alright, wouldn't he? You tried to take the blame for him to get him off the hook.
Yeah, but the thing is, he had a message that he wanted out to the media. But I got all the media attention.
You stole his message.
He did. So, and that's where I'm kind of like, if he did this for a message, I took his limelight where there could be animosity down the track.
And this is where haters could go real bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could go real bad. But,
you know,
let's talk about the haters there, because obviously following that, you probably did get some noise from people hating on you.
I think there was 100 messages, people telling me how cool I am, and maybe 20 or 30 messages on how much of a Terry Tuffner I am.
Yeah.
And what a prick I am. So I looked at time. I think it could have been way more, maybe 200 to 50 negatives. But at the time period, I just kept on thinking the love is outweighing the hate.
Well, that's good.
And then I looked at...
But the hate helps, right?
The hate does help, because I look at Axl Rose, for example. I've been following Guns N' Roses' new tour with the new drummer, Isaac Carpenter.
Yeah.
And they're kicking ass. They have that old school energy back. But in saying that, Axl Rose, if you look at every comment on YouTube, gets hate.
Mm.
He cops it every fucking day of his life.
And I saw images of him the other day that had been photoshopped that had him as massive. Like, because he got pretty chunky one part.
Yeah, he did get chunky a few years ago.
And I seen one, his gut was out here like mine used to be.
And, you're trimmed down, bro.
I have a little bit. But I was looking at Axl, and then I went searching for some footage and some actual images of him now. I'm like, oh, is he blowing up again? And fuck, man, he looks healthy. He's actually really looking really healthy. He's actually happy with life. You can actually see that Axl's purely happy with life. When AC/DC played Los Angeles a few months ago, Axl Rose and Slash are just walking through the crowd like every other punter.
there, and it's just like then there's fans getting photos of Slash and Axl.
Yeah.
So I thought that's pretty cool.
I haven't been that lucky yet.
No, neither have I. The closest I've been to a Gunners is actually meeting Duff McKagan 2014.
Oh, yeah, was that when he was out here for Soundwave?
That was when he was here for, was it Walking Papers at the time, but at Soundwave.
Yeah.
And he was at the signing booth.
Yeah.
And Gua actually did a signing beforehand and just trashed the whole signing room, throwing tables and everything. But yeah, Duff McKagan, he was pretty cool. And I actually saw him play a year beforehand at Soundwave with Duff McKagan's Loaded.
Oh, yeah.
Which was a cool set.
That might have been the one I watched. I might have watched both, actually. Can't remember. Was 2014... That's what is it? Walking with Papers.
Yeah, it was with Walking Papers.
Yeah. Walking Papers. Was that the last Soundwave? 2014. Was that the double day one?
I think the last Soundwave could have been 2015, 2016.
2015.
But I remember Soundwave days. Now that takes me back. I remember a lot of great memories from that era, from Iron Maiden all the way through to Slipknot, Korn, Avenged Sevenfold. Satyricon was one band that I didn't know who they were at the time, but I was walking past the stage going, who the fuck are these guys?
Yeah.
And they were kicking ass and they were doing the song Pentagram Burns. And it was just one of those moments that I remember going home not knowing who they are, and they're a Norwegian black metal band. I fell in love with them from that point.
Yeah, right.
So it was one of
It's good when you see bands like that, you check them out and...
something sticks out.
Yeah. There's a band I can think of like that. They're not the heaviest band, but Seether.
Seether.
Way back in the day, man. And me and a mate went to this gig because we were, I think we were talking MySpace days, you know.
I remember MySpace
And we were tuning up these two chicks, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to this Seether show. You guys should come." Well, I'll go and check it out, you know. And went and checked it out. Met these chicks. Didn't turn into anything because we were both fucking useless with women back then.
I
found a great band. I bought their three albums at the end of that show. I was like, fuck, I really dig this band. It's rocky, but it's got the heaviness to it. It's not over the top, you know, he's not screaming all the time. So, but they're a band that's always stuck with me too, you know, kind of like everything they do.
Oh, definitely. There's heaps of bands that stick with you for years. It's funny because even going back to 6 years old with Quiet Riot, I still listen to Quiet Riot. I don't think I go a week without listening to them. You know, especially like Randy Rhoads era with Laughing Gas and stuff.
That'd be like Gunners for me. Like, I got into Gunners when I was probably 10 years old.
Yep.
And they're still to the day, like, even though they haven't really released anything for a fucking long time.
Yeah, it's Chinese Democracy.
Chinese Democracy, which, you know, the more I listened to that album, I didn't like it when it first came out. But
I was half. I was like, I had to isolate from Guns N' Roses to like it.
It's a fucking good album. It actually is. When you listen to it, it's a really, really good album. But yeah, they've stuck with me for years and still to the day. Like, I've got other bands that are my favourites, but Gunners is still like, if I can guarantee that I can put something on, I'm going to be into it no matter what my mood, it's Gunners. I always fucking love it, you know?
It's like, with me, my favourite Guns N' Roses song, it's a bit obscure to what they've released, but it's Bad Obsession.
Yeah.
Of Use Your Illusion albums. Something about that Roadhouse, bikey, whiskey drinking and cigarettes vibe. I like that saloon vibe they created in that sound. Dirty rock and roll.
Yeah.
So a cross between like Rose Tattoo and something Stones would do.
Yeah, well, I guess that's what happened on those two albums. They started bringing in more of those kind of like blues elements into it.
Yeah, they did.
Which is good, you know. One of my favourite songs is fucking Double Talk and Jive. And there's not much to that song. It's a couple of verses and then fucking guitar solo forever.
Wait, isn't it funny when you break down songs, you start realising how simple each section is? It's only a matter of 3 or 4 chords.
Yeah.
But it's how they put the flavour, and the lead guitar is what really gives it a flavour.
Yeah.
Like with me, as a songwriter, for example, if me and my mates are sitting around and there's no lyrics written yet, I'll start coming up with a melody on the guitar, knowing what key we're in, so the melody's there for when the singing comes in.
Yeah.
So then the singer
you're setting it up for the vocalist?
Yeah,
so
pretty much setting up for the vocalist to follow the melody they've created on guitar. This is my acoustic stuff. But in saying that, once the singing's all done, the vocals are in place, I'll get rid of that melody guitar, and then I'll redo the lead.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's some stages of my songwriting where, okay, I don't have a vocalist, but there needs to be something melody-wise.
Yeah, so you can kind of build where the song's going, know where it's going. Yeah, get a feeling for it.
And I guess that's where music theory comes in, because you just tell me the key, give me 2 minutes, I'll be able to figure it out.
Yeah, I can't do that shit.
No, it's just...
I just slide until I find the right note. I'm like, all right, I'm there. I'm going to go from here.
Yeah. It's funny because, like, each day I do an hour warm-up, hour exercise before I get into the hardcore side of things for the rest of my day.
Yeah.
So without my hour of warming up and practicing before I get into the real shit, it can vary from, I do a bit of crazy train, get my fingers going,
get
the tapping on the neck going. So I'll do that. But Thunderstruck, I'll always put that in my warm-up because the hammer-ons on the intro, so that's something that if it's freezing in the mornings, now my fingers are now warming up.
Yeah.
So with me, I could be a hopeless guitarist if you hear me first thing in the morning. But if I have that hour warm-up, I can go out and perform anywhere to the point that if there's a jam session or open mic and there's a few dudes jamming, I go, what key are we playing in? And me and my neighbour, we started doing that about 8 months ago when I was living up here on the Gold Coast. And it got to the point that some guitarists, I didn't mean to, like, make them feel insecure, but my mate was just like, some of them were walking out because they didn't want to go on stage after you.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, oh shit. Well, I didn't mean to do that to them.
So how much guitar are you playing a day?
Anywhere from an hour to 10 hours.
Fuck, man. I wish I had that time. Like, this is, as you know, in my house.
Oh, yeah, like...
Always ready to go, and I fucking barely play any guitar these days.
Yeah?
It's fucking tragic.
Oh, there you go. But also in saying that, because I do offer Zoom lessons as well.
Yeah.
So
part of it
I have a few clients that I'm guitar teaching clients throughout the week.
Yeah.
So I guess...
How do people find you for that? Let's throw that in.
How they find
we'll
me?
Do a plug.
I've got advertisement on Facebook, but I'm going to actually do a business hub sort of thing. So I'm going to actually go on the J Marshall Media for the future. So instead of with everything I do, I don't outsource. Even with Righteous Death stuff, from the lyric videos, I do everything in house.
Yeah.
So in saying that, I want to actually make a creative hub-like page of everything I can offer on the J Marshall Media.
Yeah.
And guitar teaching wise, it's all through Facebook. So once a week, I'll throw up my advertising. So email me or private message me.
Yeah.
But I've noticed, like, because some days I can get an influx of notifications and messages.
Yeah.
That
well, you didn't respond to me for about 3 weeks. I was a bit upset. I thought you forgot
dude,
about
me.
That
got lost in the messages because
I'm like, does he fucking like me anymore? He's ignoring me.
No.
Come for a chat,
dude, I love you, bro. You don't have to worry about that. But the good thing is you have a mobile number now.
I do.
So I'm
not going to give it out to everyone.
No. That's one of those things. So I've noticed because even on Facebook, people I never met in person, they will messenger call me, just tell me their life problems.
Oh yeah.
So and the influx is, the more out there I've been, the more influx there has been in notifications on my through Facebook and social media.
Yeah.
So the best form of contact for any of my outsourcing is through email.
Yeah.
So you'll have jmarshallofficial@icloud.com.
Okay. Now everyone's got your email.
You know, that's my business email. So that's not my personal email.
Yeah.
So cool. I bounce between two.
All right.
You know.
So dick pics to that email.
Dick pics to that email, you know. I don't float that way, but you know, I'll be proud of you if you have the confidence to do it.
Yeah, not that there's anything wrong with that. Better clear that up, mate, or you'll get in trouble.
Yeah, I know. We're both been there.
Speaking of trouble, let's go back. the church thing, because this
Yep.
is a hot topic of conversation.
Yeah.
So what happens after that? Because you got fucking kicked out of town or something, didn't you? Kicked out of Lismore?
Well, in all that, I had a relationship meltdown, and this is all in a matter of 2 months.
Yeah.
So in the space of 2 months, I went from releasing new music with Righteous Death, being arrested for public nuisance via social media. Everything's been acquitted though.
Yeah.
Had a relationship breakdown, and I'm not going to go into too much details because I'm good friends with my ex now.
Yeah.
And she's like a sister to me now.
Don't need to get into details and names or anything like that, but yeah.
No, but in saying that, I had to readjust my whole life. I ended up moving up here while there was a court battle going on in New South Wales.
Yeah.
And this is all during COVID at the end of 2020. So I had to go to court when there was border closures and everything going on between the two states.
So were you able to get across then?
I was, I remember because I still
Some kind
had
of special permit or something like that?
Yeah, I had to print out permits and put on my windshield and all that.
Yeah.
But one time I was passing through and the cops, they made me go into their lane because I still had New South Wales rego.
Yeah.
Even though I changed my licensing to Queensland, so I think that was one good thing I did at the time was actually go Queensland roads. But in saying that, they pulled me in to verify me and all that. And then I realised, you know what? I need to get roadworthy and change my rego over.
Yeah.
After that was fine. That I would just come through the border like any other Queenslander.
Yeah.
And the other thing is being born in Queensland kind of helped as well.
Yeah, okay. So you're kicked out of Lismore, you move up here.
Yeah, it was a
Shit
year.
starts getting wild because you're living with and hanging out with some crew that
Well,
I was hanging out with as well, you know.
You were hanging out with. It's
Here
so
and
funny.
there.
You know heaps of mutuals.
Yeah.
Know? So I was hanging out with the crew, and there was heaps of wild nights. Not too. It's not like we fucked up or anything. It was just like
Just having fun.
3 or 4 day benders.
Yeah.
You know, few substances to keep us going.
Neither confirm nor deny.
Yeah, we're not going to confirm or deny what's happening.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
It's all rock and roll.
And it was great. It was great for the first 2 years. And then my chemical intake got a bit out of hand. I'll happily say that.
Yeah.
My chemical intake got a bit out of hand, but I should have probably had an adult conversation with the person I was living with at the time, going, "Oh, dude, do what you want, but I'm just backing out a bit."
Yeah.
You know, but with me, and I've also made it clear with him as well, the guy I was living with, for 3 years on, making amends in my life. I go, we should have just had an adult conversation, but I abruptly moved out. But what was worse is I moved in with a full-blown alcoholic. And this is at Reedy Creek at this stage.
Yeah.
And living with an alcoholic is probably worse than the other substances, mainly because I couldn't keep... It was like living with someone bipolar.
Yeah.
You know, when they're wasted, they're the complete opposite to how they are sober. So when they're you could have a fantastic night, but when they're sober, it's like...
Angry as.
Yeah, it was two sides, and it got to the point I couldn't keep up with living with an alcoholic.
Man, I actually think, as we're sitting here drinking Long Island iced teas...
Yeah, in moderation.
Which we'll go into again. They have 5 shots of white spirits in each drink, so we're pretty deep right now.
They're going pretty good.
But I've always found with alcoholics... I fucking don't know how they do it, because it's the one kind of drug, because it is a drug, right? You know, most other drugs. So let's talk about weed or maybe speed. Maybe not heroin, because if you have too much, you're in a slump. But you know, if you're on mild uppers or downers, or you're smoking weed or whatever, you know, you can go out and go about your day. You can function. You shouldn't, but you can drive your car. I don't recommend it. But people do it. But when you're fucking drunk, man, if you're drunk all the time,
and you get behind the wheel.
How do you get life done? You know,
you can't. It's actually with me, alcohol is my own worst enemy. If I get too trashed, I don't mind having 3 or 4, you know, a day. Or 5, you know, in a day here and there. But in saying it, it's my own worst enemy, because if I get trashed, I'll feel like shit the next day. That's a day without work for me.
Yeah.
And I'm a fairly active dude where even if I'm not working, I'm out and about doing something, you know, or picking up the guitar. So in saying that, if I'm bedridden, I feel guilty within myself.
Yeah.
You know, so but then again, even when I've had slight hangovers, I will push myself.
Yeah.
As well.
I think one of the bad things too is like it's one drug where you might not necessarily remember everything the next day.
No.
Whereas the other stuff you will.
Exactly.
Again, unless we're talking about heroin and you just pass out and you're no good anyway because you're sleeping. But everything else, you know, if you're on some kind of upper speed or whatever, or fucking meth if you're into that kind of thing, or even like MDMA, you remember the next day.
Oh yeah, you
do,
definitely.
You get blind and black out. You got fucking no idea. You know, you wake up the next day and you get told stories, and you're like, really?
Oh yeah.
Not saying I didn't.
Many a times where it's like, wait, Jackson, do you remember this last night? Oh, I actually remember being at one of our mutual friends' houses, and I'm not going to say names because too personal.
Yeah.
But
we'll call them out some other time.
We will. You know, we'll call them out in person, not here. But in saying that, I rocked up to this party in Coomera a few years ago, through a few of our mutuals, and
I know the house. Yeah.
Yeah. I was after a day of drinking and doing other stuff, invited over. Okay, Jackson, try this out. Try that out. Hour later, Jackson, try this out. Try that out. They had forgotten that they had given me these drugs. Yeah. It was to the point that I had to have another friend watch me while I slept. Yeah, because I consumed like a Bompton cocktail.
Just keep an eye on you?
Yeah.
That was some prescription stuff that was getting handed around, right?
Oh, yeah, it was prescription. We can say that.
Well, no, because I know where you're talking about, and I know being there, and everything was getting around. But then there's weird prescription ones, and I'm like, no, because they're the fucking worst, man. Like,
I say prescription drugs. Look at this. If we do endo or we go into morphine category, that's pretty much prescription opioids.
Yeah.
It's pretty much microdosed.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, I know people out there who have prescriptions for that, who do it for the sake of, you know, take a few doses. It's like heroin. With me, that doesn't appeal to me. Hey, I stay away from meth and opiates completely. And I think that's because I've read too much autobiographies, watched too many interviews and documentaries on influential artists who have taken that path. So I'm very aware before I do anything.
Yeah.
So if there's a line of cocaine, it's just like, you know what? Those dudes are still alive.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Oh yeah.
It's the same way.
Then I'll watch my friends do it before I do it, going, they did it an hour ago. They didn't overdose. Yeah. You know.
Have you ever read the book by Head from Korn?
No,
about his meth addiction.
No, but I've watched a documentary on him a few years ago with him and his daughter. Yeah, and how he thought she was troubled, so he sent her to this school, like a boarding school, where she could get her life on track. Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's running around his backyard thinking he's Jesus.
Yeah, I know, because that's where he went, didn't he?
Yeah. That's a wild story, and it's like the whole band kind of admits that they're all using it.
Yeah, they were.
But you know, he talks about hardcore porn addiction caused by meth, and just like that full on
shutting himself off for months at a time.
Full on schizophrenia that come from it. It's fucking wild. Just stay away from that. But the fucking opioids thing. There was one year Wallapalooza Festival here on the coast, and I had to play 3 shows in one day, so I had nowhere else.
That's impressive.
And Azriel, right?
Yep.
3 days before, I pinched a nerve in my neck.
Oh, shit.
And I couldn't move, man. I was proper fucked. Like, couldn't move my neck, could barely move anywhere. I was that fucking sore. Yeah. And they loaded me up on endones.
Yeah, endos, yeah.
I had some physio and acupuncture and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And loaded me up at Endones, man. And I played those 3 shows on Endone and drinking that day. And, you shouldn't mix alcohol with opioids. Like, you just shouldn't.
No, you should not.
I was fucking flying. I barely remember that day. Like, I remember snippets of the sets, but it was just like I was up there like fucking...
Did you re-go with the video footage?
Weightless, man. I was weightless. I was just like, playing. I don't know if I played any good or not, but I remember it was fun, so...
Well, that's the main thing. And that's the other thing. Like, I look at some of the world's biggest bands, right? They even have their dull nights as well.
Yeah.
You know, I look at the Use Your Illusion tour on how many fuck-ups there was on that tour.
Because Slash was too drunk?
Slash was drunk. that St. Louis Riot gig,
yeah.
They didn't even know how to come into the Welcome to the Jungle.
Yes, I've seen that.
Yeah, then all of a sudden, there's Matt Sorum and Duff McKagan looking at Slash, and Slash is doing the count-in,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
And then a few songs later, there's Axl Rose jumping into the crowd that started the fucking riot. I actually remember buying that concert when I was 15 in Bali.
Yeah.
I'd never seen that concert beforehand, but it was a bootleg concert there in Bali. You
Yeah,
could play anything, right?
Yeah.
And I remember coming back to Australia going, we're just watching this concert one night, and it was the first time I got stoned, actually. Going, wow, they're so raw here. This is the start of Use Your Illusion tour before everything was perfected. They're road trialling November Rain here before it's even out. So it was a pretty cool era. But all of a sudden on Rocket Queen, when Axl jumped into the crowd, I wasn't expecting that. And I remember playing that scene for 5 hours that night going, holy fuck.
Obsessed over it.
Yeah, and it kind of was just like, they were fucked at that gig. And before that, the only Guns N' Roses DVDs that were around at the time in Australia was Welcome to the Videos. And the Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 had just came out. But the audio was pretty bad on that DVD.
Yeah, and they had the 2... the making of the video, so they had the November Rain one and the Don't Cry one, and then there was a third one as well, which was what song is it?
Is it November Rain?
No, so that's the 2. It's November Rain and Don't Cry, and the third one was Estranged. But they never released it over here, so if you can get it, it's cool to watch it. But and that's back in the day when Crazy Clark's was first getting around, like the first discount store.
Crazy Clark's, which beforehand was Bilo?
No, Bilo was Coles, but but Crazy Clark's was its own thing. But back then, when you talk about the bootleg stuff, it's you used to be able to always go in there and buy these like bootleg cassettes.
Oh, I remember.
And they were always live shows that someone's recorded with like a little cassette recorder fucking thing, and then they make fucking millions of copies of it. You buy them for $2.
I actually remember there was a documentary, unauthorized documentary series at the time. I think there was one on Blink-182, Nirvana, as well as Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
And there was 60-minute DVDs.
Yeah, right.
And I remember they were like $10 at the time, you know. So yeah.
I've got old cassettes. I've got an old Gunners one that's like a live set from somewhere.
Oh, nice.
And I've got some Jimi Hendrix ones that are like dodgy recorded live sets as well. But
yeah. I actually remember talking about Jimi Hendrix quickly. I remember being 13 and my dad, because he grew up through the 60s and everything, it was late night on TV, a 3-hour special on Woodstock from 1969.
Yeah.
I remember, like, back then, DVD recorders had just came out.
Yeah.
So my dad bought a Panasonic DVD recorder because he was working at Retrovision at the time.
Yeah. Which was like top line tech then.
It was like, these DVD recorders were like $1,800 back then, you know? Before DVD burners and computers, really, at that stage. And I would have been about 13, maybe 14, and that's when I discovered Hendrix. And that was because of his performance at Woodstock in '69.
Yeah.
Doing Voodoo Child and Star Spangled Banner on guitar. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, I get it. So, and my dad goes, he was the innovator of guitar back in the day.
He was a little ahead of time. Yeah.
He was like, without the way, if we didn't have his playing, 60s rock and roll wouldn't have taken off the way it did in many ways.
Yeah.
A lot of 70s stuff wouldn't have happened. But then all of a sudden, the next innovator in line, realistically, who he got known for, it was Eddie Van Halen. Because he didn't really come up with tapping on the neck, but he was the one who put it out there to the mainstream.
And used it so much.
It so much.
You were talking about the thing before about people not wanting to come on stage after you. That was the whole Hendrix Clapton thing, right? Because Clapton saw Hendrix play and then went, no, I'm not going on stage after that.
Yeah.
And Clapton's a fucking machine.
Clapton was considered the guitar god in England before Hendrix.
Yeah.
And I actually know a bit of that story. If it wasn't for the bass player from the Animals discovering Hendrix over in America, he funded Hendrix come to England.
Yeah.
And back then in the 60s, like, there wasn't much going for America in the rock and roll sense. It was mainly, pretty much think of the Doors and the Beach Boys, right? But everything was the British invasion of that time.
Yep.
So if Hendrix didn't go to America without the bass player from the Animals financing him, I forgot his name. But he put him up, and next thing you know, Hendrix was the guitar god. Then he went back to America afterwards and became a god.
Yeah.
But he wasn't. He was playing in bars, beforehand.
Yeah.
Like making, $2 or $3 per set.
Man, it's how it happens for some people. You just need the right person to see you.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden he got picked up.
Yeah. So on that note, people seeing you.
Yep.
Let's get back to you, because we're talking about other bands, which is cool. I enjoy it.
It's great. I love talking about this.
Well, we're going to get back to you. So, Righteous Death. Have you done any shows?
We haven't done any shows, but we've been actually working rehearsals.
Yeah.
But since my personal life took a bit of a turn the last few months, like, we've been using Rock City Studios in Coomera.
Oh, yeah.
Because, it's $60 for 5 hours. So a Saturday afternoon, it's just like, we all meet there, go over the tracks. But in that, like, me and Hayden, we've actually co-written a new song together. And he's
Hayden's your new guitarist,
my new lead
right?
guitarist.
Yeah.
So he's 26 years old, and he's really good at what he does. Reason why me and him get along good, he knows techniques I don't know, why I know techniques he doesn't know. So if the third Righteous Death record that we're working on, we're gonna start putting a spotlight on the two guitars now.
Oh, yeah.
So with me, I can do a lot of tapping on the neck. He does a lot of sweep picking, but I'm not the best sweep picker.
Yeah.
So I just thought, you know what? He's also younger than me. I see huge potential in him, like the biggest potential. He's also brought in that younger flavour to our sound.
Yeah.
So it's more, how do I say it? We've got that. For the third record, there's a Parkway Drive kill switch engage edge, but there's still black metal elements in songwriting. Yeah. So we've managed.
So he's that younger kind of core scene. They're all kind of into different versions of core, metalcore and hardcore and whatever else core there is.
That's what he's about.
The new stuff, which I call new core, which is like hardcore crossed with new metal, which is back in the day, button heads. You notice a lot of that going on.
They totally did. I remember, was it around 2004, 2005, Parkway Drive had just got picked up by Prom Queen.
Yeah, it would be about that time. Yeah.
It would have been around that time. And growing up in Lismore, Parkway Drive, when they hit the scene, because they were in Byron Bay half an hour away.
Yeah.
They're high school gigs.
Yeah.
Me and my friends used to find a designated driver in our circle, and we'll get drunk and drive out. It was our thing. Yeah. Oh, Parkway Drive playing this weekend again.
And that's when Parkway Drive gigs used to cost like $5-10 to get into.
Literally, I think at most I paid, and this was probably towards the end of the 2000s, around 2010.
Yeah.
I think tickets were like only $20 up to that point.
Yeah.
You know, it was bugger all. And I remember, like, there was bands like Evergreen Terrace at the time and all that playing Byron.
Yeah.
So Byron really had this really cool scene going. That us kids from Lismore, loving metal,
Yeah.
we would drive out to the shows.
Yeah.
But it's so cool to see, like, 20 years on. I never imagined that they would be headlining all the major festivals over in Europe.
Man. So I actually had a new metal band back in the 2000s. Like, we were around from 98 to 2007. I think we fucking pulled the pin. But I can't remember where it was, but we played a show with Parkway Drive way in the early days, man.
Oh, nice!
When I was first coming out, because at the time on the Gold Coast there was only a couple of heavy venues going, and you had like the whole new metal movement was massive, right? So we were kind of in the thick of that when we were doing the new metal thing. Like Biscuit was huge, Korn was huge, Slipknot in there, Mudvayne, like all that kind of stuff. Even though with me, Slipknot and Mudvayne,
Mushroomhead,
I don't really call them new metal, but they get slotted in there. But Korn and Biscuit definitely. Yeah, we were doing that thing, and Head PE, like we were massive on that.
Head PE, yeah.
And we were doing the new metal thing back then, and then it's about 2004, a little bit earlier, and. It was because, and what happened was Limp Bizkit at that point were the biggest fucking band in the world.
Yeah, they were.
And originally, Fred Durst, when he came out, right, he was the man, and he told everyone he was the man, and then everyone fucking made him the man. They did.
Yep.
And then Tall Poppy Syndrome. Everyone started hating him because he was the fucking man.
Yeah.
They alone, Limp Bizkit, caused the decline of new metal.
There you go.
That's what caused it. Everyone fucking hated Limp Bizkit, so everything to do with new metal went downhill.
And I used to have this joke with one of my friends years ago. Why does everyone hate Limp Bizkit? He goes, because of Fred Durst. And it's just like, I just used to love my friend's reaction saying that.
It's exactly right. It was Tall Poppy Syndrome, you know.
The ego.
He told everyone he was the man. They made him the fucking man, and then they hated him because he was the man.
Yeah.
It's always back to the fucking haters.
That's what happens. It's funny because there's a fine line. Like, as being a muso, we're told that we need to have charisma as artists, right?
Yeah.
But where do you draw the line between ego and charisma?
If you figure that one out, let me fucking know.
Yeah, I know. It just seems like us artists, we go and get in trouble and we get misinterpreted. Hey,
you do. I mean, you just gotta, I guess, don't let. It's alright to have a bit of ego, but don't let the ego make you become an arsehole.
Yeah, exactly. You know? Don't become arrogant, pretty much.
Yeah. Like you can have confidence in yourself, but don't let the ego overdrive and become a complete fucking arsehole. So.
Yeah, that's it. Hey.
Otherwise, you'll get fucking cancelled for calling New South Welshmen filthy Mexicans.
Oh, yeah. And it's funny because I'll happily admit, like, I was born in Queensland. I grew up in New South Wales. I've lived in Queensland 5 years again. Back in New South Wales at the moment. But in saying that, it's just like, yeah, I didn't get offended when you said that. You know, I was down there at the time. I was like, I get it, man.
Yeah.
We are the Mexicans south of the border.
Some people don't get it. So anyway, we won't go too much into that.
It's too PC.
Already caused enough fucking trouble with that. So
you and me both.
So yeah, Righteous Death.
Yeah.
We're rehearsing.
We're rehearsing.
When are we going to see the band live?
We were ready to have shows booked at the end of the year. And the other good thing is we're happy to actually fund the venue. Like, I know some entertainment managers around some cool venues.
Yep.
And with a soundboard and lighting, there's some good deals that they're offering me.
Yep.
So, you know, if we're not on a specific lineup, we're ready to fund the show and then people pay for tickets on the door through Mosh Sticks.
Yeah. Put something together. You put a line up together yourself.
Yeah. So we're ready to go that far.
So if anyone's interested, get onto him on the details
100%.
before. You need to go back about half an hour or so, but...
Yeah. And the thing is, we did extensive 5 months of rehearsals before I ended up back in New South Wales. But at that time, I had no choice but to leave.
Yeah.
Things are working out now. I could be back up here in a matter of weeks.
Yeah. So is it a full band now?
It is pretty much a full band. There's been a few lineup discussions, like with my drummer, for example. He's also a very known drummer. He's played with some heavy hitting bands up here in Brisbane. But in saying that, because there was a hiatus in my personal life, we kind of pumped the brakes for the last 3 months.
Yeah.
And in saying that, the day I left the Gold Coast, the day after I left the Gold Coast, my transmission died in my car.
Yeah.
So that was 2 months to save up for a new transmission.
Always fucking something, eh?
Always something. But I tell you what, it's just a coincidence of it all. I wasn't expecting to fail the next day, being in New South Wales, turning my car on. It's not coming out first gear at all, you know, high revs.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
It's a Ford, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an XR6.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, I'm not going to blame Ford. I didn't service my car. I missed services.
That's right.
So all the
I'm a Ford man. So.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So
don't hold it against me, you fucking Holden lovers.
Oh yeah, I used to be Holden.
Yeah.
Until I had an SV6 Commodore with an Allotech engine.
Yeah.
At 164,000 kilometers, the block blew to the engine. Even though I looked after this car, I overheated once.
Yeah.
Straight to a mechanic, the block was blown.
I've had one car over 20-something years that hasn't been Ford. I had one Holden, VL station wagon.
Oh, yep.
And I had it for about 1.5 years. I had more troubles with that Holden than I've ever had with any Ford.
I think I spent over 10 grand in 2.5 years on my Holden.
Yeah.
And I was stuck in a 5-year loan at that stage.
So fuck you, Holden.
Fuck you, eh? That's why there's a class action lawsuit against them.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Oh, because they cheaped down heaps of parts in between 2012 and 2017.
Yeah, right.
So a lot of people haven't even gotten 120,000 kilometres out of their cars in that time frame. And there's a huge class action against them as we speak.
Yeah, right.
Not going to go into any more of that.
Sounds like another fucking podcast if someone from Holden wants to come and have a chat.
Oh, yeah, exactly, you know.
So, right, the band, so you got the 2 guitarists, you got your
guitarists.
vocalist, you got your drummer. Sounds like there's no bass player.
Bass player. We do have a bass player. I do have to get in contact with him because I'm ready back on the road again. And as of next week, it's going to start up. But yeah, 2 of the guys who haven't been mentioned yet, you guys will know them.
Okay.
Yeah, so they a few heavy hitting bands in southeast Queensland here.
Yep.
Who've jumped onto the bandwagon of Righteous Death.
That's good.
And yeah, we're hoping for shows later this year, but since there's been 3 months with no rehearsals, I guess we have to see where it takes off next week.
Okay, yeah.
And then after that, after maybe 4 or 5 rehearsals, 4 or 5 weeks, we might be confident enough to go, you know, we book a show now.
Ready to go.
And that's all it takes. And these guys in my band, I've had to do all the tabs up and everything behind the scenes on everything I've written.
Yeah.
So that's why we work pretty fast, because everyone can read music as well in the group.
Fucking helps.
It does help. So I do up the tabs, send it through, here's the tracks. Even when we write songs, like if I'm writing a new song, I'm there taking notes so I know the tablature along the way.
Yeah. And so you don't forget it.
So I don't forget it. Plus, I've
I
got...
video myself because I always forget shit. I come up with a riff and I'm like, I don't know how the fuck I played that.
My secret is having a music stand in front of me. So I've got my camera here.
Yeah.
And I've got a diary with a pen taking notes while hitting record if inspiration strikes.
Yeah.
Because I use all those ideas as pre-production before I sit in front of my computer and start tracking with my recording gear.
Yeah.
And then one idea can turn into... One guitar part can turn into 6 different instrument parts within that track.
Yeah.
But it's capturing that skeleton, I guess, and then working on top of it.
Yeah, building it up.
Yeah.
So is there new music on the way?
There actually is new music on the way. There's actually 3 tracks recorded, fully musically as we speak.
Yep.
I've already emailed those tracks off to my singer down in Melbourne.
Yep, okay.
Who will be flying in for shows, but we've also managed to work in rehearsals because we use Zoom, and there's not an actual delay.
Oh, it's okay. It's caught up.
So it's caught up. So we've rerouted Johnny in rehearsals to go through the computer screen to go out of my recording interface into the PA system.
Yeah, right.
So we can do rehearsals remotely.
Oh, that's good.
As well. So before any shows, Johnny will come up and do rehearsals the day before.
Are you using some kind of delay compensation software or something, or you just got a fucking good connection?
If you got a decent connection,
and a computer. Half the time it's a computer processor.
With me, up here it's great because there's cable internet, and it's like that. The other thing is, if I don't have a solid connection, I will hotspot from my 5G on my phone.
Yeah.
So that builds up the solid connection there.
Is that causing your brain cancer?
I don't know, maybe. I should probably have a proper check with my doctor.
That was a thing, man. We should have all been fucked by now once 5G come in. Remember that shit?
No, I actually remember they were saying that the tinfoil hats came out, right?
5G will cook your fucking brain, but we got 6G on the way now or some shit like that.
6G, you know, I've learnt to keep up the times a bit. You know? So if something 5G comes out and I know the internet connection's fast, I get unlimited data through my plans.
Yeah.
Being a musician, I might be living somewhere like without internet, and it's like at least I can hotspot to get all my releases out there.
Yeah.
You know. So
talk about all your releases. So what can people find from you online through Spotify or Apple Music or whatever everyone's using?
Well, I've got 2 Righteous Death albums out so far. So first album, Rituals, is out. So if you put it into iTunes, Spotify, YouTube Music or anything, Righteous Death or Righteous Death Band, you'll be able to find my music.
Yep.
You can actually Google us and they'll show straight up with our music as well.
And the spelling is just normal. It's not any kind of new metal style misspelling. Righteous Death.
Righteous Death is just like the Bible passage, the death of the righteous.
Yep.
And the funny thing is, my idea with Righteous Death many years ago was a Bible passage, and I was saying to myself years ago, and it's funny now because Google has now overtaken that. Oh, I wonder if I can build up Righteous Death to be more meaningful on Google than the Bible passage itself.
Yeah.
So now if you Google Righteous Death, there's more on the band than the Bible passage. So I hope to corrupt a few churchgoers along the way in scripture learning this, right? In school.
See how we go. So they might get past the whole... So what, it's death metal? Or is it black metal? Or a combination of both?
Let's just say, way I put it is, there's heaps of different metal influences into the one band.
Yeah.
So in saying that, we tend to keep it more across between death, black and metalcore.
Yeah.
So you're always going to hear death metal elements, black metal elements, as well as metalcore. But there's also doom elements in some of the songwriting and a bit of thrash.
Yeah.
There's actually 2 tracks like Total Darkness off the second album, which I used the same concept of It's Just Death on the first Righteous Death record. So I pretty much use the same structuring, but on 2 different tracks, on 2 different records. So if you listen to It's Just Death and Total Darkness through Righteous Death, I'm incorporating black metal with thrash metal, which still to this day I can't find any other band who's doing that. But it just kind of...
I can't think of anything, but I don't actually listen to as much music as people probably think I do.
I think... yeah.
I'm really shit with it, man. I don't really listen to any new music unless I'm sent something to review, so I'm kind of fucking really shit. I should listen to more.
Oh, dude, you can't listen to everything out there. You know there's bands every day releasing new music.
There is. There's so much new shit coming out. And it's not like, you know, it's kind of weird because you've got like Spotify now which will just suggest stuff to you, but there's nothing really out there that's forcing it down your throat like it used to be, like, you know, the MTV days and the Rage days where you've got new music from there, you know.
Well, that's the thing, like when I grew up, rap was really big and pop music was huge, right? And boy bands and girl bands were a thing, like, in my generation. But something
Spice
appealed...
Girls and NSYNC.
Yeah, all that. That's what all the kids were listening to at the time.
Yeah.
But I was different to most kids because I was listening to bands. Same bands were around at the time, like Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, for example. They were around in my childhood. And I always followed where real musicians were making music.
Yeah.
Instead of computer music of its time. So,
sound like a bit of a metal elitist there.
Oh, no, I'm not trying to be. I just couldn't get into the boy bands, girl bands, the pop. I couldn't get into it. So I guess from a young age, I was always looking at true musicianship.
Yeah.
And also having a dad my dad's not a musician, but he's always appreciated music.
Yeah.
If I remember, he would come home from Retrovision and he would... Back before DVDs, he would have VHS live concerts.
Yeah.
So I remember one time he put on, was it Live Aid 1985 that he recorded off TV back then?
Oh yeah, so it's Dodgy As. Yeah.
It's Dodgy As. He had like 7 cassette tapes because he would replace the video cassettes every 4 hours.
Yeah.
That would have been 1985 live off TV. So I would sift through a lot of his VHS collections, his CD collections and record collections. Anything that looked rock and roll, that's where my head went.
You check it out, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was always about the music, about if there's guitars and drums in it, yeah, that's my forte, you know.
I think once guitar grabs you, like once guitar music grabs you, it never lets you go. Like that's your thing. You listen to other stuff and you're like, where's the fucking guitar?
Well, growing up, like, I thought the guitar was the most sexiest thing ever. There's nothing more sexy than a guitar and someone shredding on it.
Is that why you started to get chicks?
Pardon? Oh, no, that's happened later on in my life, eh? You know...
For all budding guitarists, it does not work. There's no 100% guarantee.
No, but I've established, like, when I was younger, I was hopeless with women. And then from 19 to 30, I was with the one lady.
Yeah.
So I didn't really get women until in my 30s, per se. Like, I'm 35 now. And I've had, like, 2 other serious relationships in there as well.
Yeah.
My last one was 3 years. So I've always been faithful. But as soon as I put that single on Facebook, it's an influx. Jackson, let's catch up for a coffee. Jackson, are you down for a beer at this venue?
Yeah.
They seem to track my locations as well. Oh, you're in my area. Hit me up, you know. So... Yeah.
The joys of social media when you're on it. Everyone knows where the fuck you are and how to get hold of you.
It's to the point that I've never had to use Tinder or dating apps.
Yeah.
But the whole cliche of it all is it's almost scripted. You know, every day it starts off with the same opening. Let's catch up for this, catch up for that. It's almost like they see what my likings are.
Yeah.
So they want to offer that liking to me.
Yeah.
So with me, when you're single, it's kind of like, yeah, why not? You know, but then again...
Yeah, I'm not doing anything else, let's have a go.
But then again, as soon as red flags show, and I've done long-term relationship, I do this thing, as a red flag shows, do I see my life 10 years down the track with this person?
Yeah.
After that red flag show, I go, actually, I don't.
No,
this isn't going to work.
It's it's fun for the moment, but let's move on.
So, for example, I'm refused to put mention stuff on Facebook now because recently I've been called a himbo.
A what?
A himbo.
What the fuck is a himbo? What have I missed out on here?
Apparently, I'm a male version of a bimbo.
Oh, okay.
Because it looked like there was I was in a relationship each week there. And I didn't think at the time, like, people would perceive it that way. But I've had a few friends pull me up, going, you have to learn to be more private, not post it on Facebook, you know.
That's the thing, though, man. Like, people see things so differently these days, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know... the same. You can say one thing, and you can have 2 or 3 different versions of that, of the way people perceive it. Like you say.
Oh yeah.
I guess that's why we all fucking butt heads so much these days, and everyone's so fucking hard left or fucking hard right. No one's in the middle, just going, hey.
Diplomatic, hey.
You know, we've actually got some common goals here. Let's fucking go in the center.
Oh, 100%. And that's what it's about. But yeah, when it came to relationships, it's always, okay, they love the idea of me. This is where the problem is. A lot of women love the idea of me behind the screen. When they meet me in person, it's almost like, have you thought about quitting cigarettes? Have you thought about, like, not drinking so much coffee? Yeah. It's like, I'm not here to question your habit. Yeah. I'm not here to change you, but I always feel like every relationship I'm in, there's a change on who
I've never actually got that, how people in relationships want to change their partner, because it's like, did you not like them to begin with? Why do you need to change them? If you don't like them how they are, then maybe it's not right. Like, You're not going to change the way a person is.
And
you can try and make them better, but don't change them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, every relationship I get into, I don't think once about changing that person. I have to set them for them. But if red flags rise and it's against my morals or something, or it's against my moral compass, or let's just say...
Is there much against your moral compass?
Oh, dude. I guess it's meth and heroin, right?
Yeah, meth and heroin.
That's no-go zone there. But also, yeah, even though I'm a musician, like, recently there was an ex. My mum kicked me out of home again 20 years later, and I was put in docks as a teenager.
So because you recently moved back home, right? Because something happened with a lease or something, a place you're at?
Oh, I moved away from the Gold Coast because relationship issue.
Oh, yeah.
But nothing serious. Like, me and her are really good friends. We're actually talking. We're all good there.
Didn't work out for
whatever reason. At the time period, it was really hard. And long story short is, it wasn't just me and her underneath the one roof. So there was other people we had to worry about, right?
Yeah.
And with me, I chose to leave one night. But it's good, we're on talking terms, but in saying that, when I got back down to New South Wales, I didn't see a potential future up in Queensland again. I do now, but in saying that, I've had to go through a few life experiences over recent months, and after my mum kicked me out again and all that, it was deja vu 20 years ago. I remember, I could talk about this, the day I got kicked out and put in the docks, I was at home, I was suspended from school.
Yeah.
My mum had the day off, and my guitar teacher a few days earlier started teaching me South of Heaven by Slayer. It sounded evil to her.
Yeah.
And she's from a Catholic background. It sent my mum insane to the point that I just got myself a JCM 900 amp as well.
What was her first reaction to the church burning then?
The church burning?
She's a Catholic. How quick did she know that you didn't actually do it?
Let's just say we didn't talk. 2 months later, when me and my ex of 11 years broke up, she wouldn't open her door to me. She was just like, you're on your own, you have to sleep in your car, dude. Yeah. You know? I'm like, oh, what? You got 7 bedrooms to your house.
Yeah.
You know? And that's when I made a few phone calls and ended up on the Gold Coast. Through one of my good friends who I've known for many years.
Yeah.
I'm actually living with him again, but in New South Wales this time around.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you told me that earlier.
Yeah, so in saying that, my mum didn't want to help me out at that time, but she said to me, if you're having problems while I was living up here on the Gold Coast, the door's always open.
Yeah.
So I'd moved back in with her this time around. But 20 years ago, we'll get back there, she kicked me out of home because of Slade. She kept on turning the main power source off to the house to where my guitar amp was.
Shut you down mid-song.
Yeah, then she blew up my new, second hand, but it was a good amp. She blew the valves to my Marshall JCM 900 from turning it. She have to stand by that shit.
Yeah, just switching it straight off. Yeah, dropping the power straight off.
Yeah, so she blew it up, and we got into a heated. It wasn't an argument. I didn't yell. I didn't get violent. There was no holes punched in the wall.
Yeah.
All because I told her she's a F-head.
Yeah.
She called the cops up on me. And based it on threatening music and that my behaviour was threatening, the next day after the cops took me to hospital, I got scheduled, right? Docs show up. Oh, you're going to have a little holiday in Coffs Harbour. And I was like, oh, I'm down for that. Get away from my mum, thank fuck. I didn't realise I'm now ward of the state the next day, hey.
So ward of the state, so you're talking like fucking mental home or something? Or
No.
Boys Town?
It's pretty much,
Boys Town.
you're pretty much, with me, I lived in group homes for the last, 2 years there.
Yeah.
Instead of being in foster care.
Yeah.
And living with a family.
Yeah.
So I was put in a group home. And that was, when I first went to Coffs Harbour, it was a group home situation. But I always had my music. I still took my guitars and everything with me, right? But by the time I moved to Boundless 6 months later, I was in a group home there. And they didn't want to put me back in the school system. So I only have a year 9 education.
Yeah.
And that's when they said to me, oh, we want to sign you up to study music at the Northern Rivers Conservatorium of Music. So I look in hindsight, I don't have any animosity against my parents based on my childhood at all. I wouldn't have met my housemate I'm living with right now if it
without that all happening.
Without all that happening. So that's the silver lining there.
Funny where it takes you.
18 years of friendship with me.
And you've got the stories to tell for music.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask this quickly because we might have to wrap this up because that was making some weird noise.
Okay.
I think we're about to run out of battery.
Oh, shit.
But, so, you referred to your mum as a Catholic. You're in a death metal band, we'll say death metal.
Yeah.
So does that mean you're an atheist or agnostic?
I put myself in the atheist category, right?
Yeah.
Agnostic means that you believe...
You just don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah.
With me as an atheist, I believe that once we snuff it, that's the end game.
So how did you get there from like a Catholic upbringing? And is your mum okay with you
I went
being
to Catholic
an atheist?
schools. Me and my mum haven't really talked about it, but when I was living with her recently, before I got kicked out 20 years later again, she tried treating me like I was 15 years old again.
Yeah, right.
Like curfews and all, But in saying that, it
Mums
wasn't slay us out to
mums.
heaven.
Yeah.
But as tongue-in-cheek, I started putting on institutionalised by suicidal tendencies. All I wanted was a Pepsi.
Well, we had a little bit of Pepsi in these, but not much.
Yeah. Well, good old Mike. So the funny thing is, this time around, because the morning that my mum kicked me out, I was listening to suicidal tendencies institutionalised. So 20 years on, first time around Slayer, second time around suicidal tendencies. I've got a feeling that my mum just doesn't accept me for being a muser,
Yeah. But I mean, how is it like? You talk about those two songs. How's the relevance of music at any time in your life? Like at some point in your life, at most points in your life, there's a song you can relate it back to.
Well, it's like right now, for example, times like these will learn to live again by the Foo Fighters. That's in my playlist.
Yeah.
Because I'm learning to live again without bullshit in my life.
Yeah.
But in saying that, the other month, it was suicidal tendencies institutionalized because that one lyric, those lyrics that was like, I went to your schools, I went to your churches, I went to your learning facilities on the third verse.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of felt living with my mom.
Yeah.
So, but 20 years ago, it was South of Heaven by Slayer that drove her insane. So I guess with me, I never saw heavy metal as being satanic.
And it's not.
Never in my life.
It's not. Yeah.
It's not. I just see it as you either like it or you hate it.
Yeah.
We've
And some of it is satanic, but it's not all.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, there is people who play on it and all that. I guess it's like Alice Cooper was in Kiss doing shock rock for that time, right?
Yeah. And most people would think Alice Cooper is some kind of Satanist, but he's actually quite religious.
He's actually a devoted Christian, hey, you know. So it's funny, hey, how people can perceive us and how we portray ourselves.
It is.
But yeah, in saying that, like, if it wasn't for me going to Docs, I wouldn't have met good friends who are in my life 18 years on.
Yeah.
So I have no animosity against my past.
Yeah.
I'm a trooper in that sense. In my 20s, yeah, I suffered from depression and all that, but that was based on a lot of unanswered stuff from when I was a teenager.
And being surrounded by arseholes?
Yeah, pretty much, hey.
Which is common.
I've learned that if I'm in a good living environment and everything, life is bliss, right? Yeah. But if you're in a shitty living environment where someone's up your ass all the time and you're not doing anything wrong, but they're just choosing to be nitpicky on every angle of your life, that's enough to drive anyone insane. It's not good for your mental health. And that's how I felt with my mum in the end. And it got to the point of, she kicked me out, but she called the cops up on me.
Yeah, that's a bit full on.
And in saying that, it was because she took the house key, going, oh, you need to be trusted again because I didn't come in for curfew the night beforehand. It was...
What was curfew when the lights were out, or was it later?
Yeah, 10 o'clock, okay.
When the lights come on,
10 o'clock on a Saturday when I want to be down watching a few bands at the local, right?
Yeah, the headline's just about to come on. Or the second headline, the co-headline.
Exactly, yeah, before I end the night. So I was out for a bit, and then I told her she's being effing ridiculous. And she got all the cops up on me because I swore. And said they was threatening, and my dad showed up at the right time. And my dad, he wasn't there 20 years beforehand because he was at a work conference up in Brisbane through Retribution. So my mum picked the perfect opportunity to get rid of me. We look back in hindsight. But in saying that, I laugh about it now.
Yeah, you've got it. You got to laugh about everything in life.
Oh, right? You do. And I said to Dad after the cops showed up and I packed my stuff the other month, I said, you missed out on this 20 years ago. 20 years on, deja vu. You've witnessed it. Hey.
Yeah.
But in saying that...
So you're all right now, though? You're back with your mate. You got a place to stay. Everything's happening.
Life is great.
Got new music on the way out.
New music.
Gonna do some gigs soon.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
And just in the process, like, I've got... Outside Righteous Death, I do have a cover band up in the works to put the money I earn from that back into Righteous Death.
Yeah.
And plus...
Which is what a lot of musicians do, right?
Yeah, right. So you need...
The cover bands play for the original projects.
To do other channels in the music field to fund projects.
Original music, unfortunately.
100%. Yeah. So I do guitar teaching as well.
Yeah.
Like, and which I actually feel great doing that.
Okay.
Teaching a kid where they don't know how to... any notes or chords in a matter of weeks, they know how to go from G, D, and C.
Yeah.
And G, D, and A minor. Yeah, and funny thing is, my last guitar student, I taught her because there's only seven chords on the guitar. So it's what is it? E, F, G, A, B, C, D. It doesn't go any further than E.
Yeah, just variations within those chords.
F, G. It's not H, I, J, K, L, N, V.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
So there's 7.
We don't have the full alphabet in the scale.
No, we don't. So when you teach the key...
Only 12 notes?
12 notes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't know how I know that. I don't know fucking music too. I heard that once and I'm like, that sounds good.
Well, it's like when you go past the 12th fret, you're redoing it all again, but it's higher up.
Yeah.
But yeah, once you teach kids G, D, C and G, D, A, that's them learning Knocking on Heaven's Doors.
It's 90% of the pop songs out there.
Right. So it's funny because my guitar student a few months ago, when I was doing in-person lessons, so I was living up here, I taught her that, and she goes, "What song is that?" And I go, "You just learned Knocking on Heaven's Doors."
Yeah.
In 4 lessons. It was one of those moments.
Someone did I think it's been done a couple of times where they picked like 3 chords and then played like 20 different songs with the same 3 chords.
Yeah, it's easily done. Like, you listen to Every Rose Has Its Thorn then by Poison, then you listen to Skid Row, I Remember You. It's the same fucking chords.
Same chords. Yeah.
But it's how they perceive it.
Yeah.
I guess it down to the strumming, down to the patterning,
how you perform it, and then the melody you put over it with the lyrics or the lead guitar or whatever's going on.
Exactly.
So
if you break down Van Halen,
are you using more than 3 chords in Righteous Death though?
Yeah, I'm actually doing going from sharps to flats.
Yeah.
In a matter of like 1 second I'm doing 2 chords.
Yeah.
So I fill out a lot of my sound in Righteous Death. I'll put more chords than expected. I think I put up to maybe 5 to 6 different notes and chords in the one verse.
Yeah.
Instead of the typical 3 to 4.
Yeah.
Some verses have 2 notes, which to me is, wow, pretty stripped back.
Yeah.
But with me,
hey, I've written verses with 1 chord or 1 note, so
whatever
works,
100%.
No need to go over the top. So.
Well, listen to AC/DC. It's pretty much 3 chords in every verse.
Oh, don't be like that, man.
No.
Not every AC/DC song sounds the same.
No. Well, Thunderstruck sounds different to You Shook Me All Night Long.
Yeah.
But there's
still the same drum beat though.
Still the same drum beat. It's the 4/4 on this, right?
Yeah.
And like, one thing with AC/DC is how they've kept it 4/4 throughout the whole career. But at the same time,
how they've maintained the same thing,
but written so much,
but it's still good.
Yeah.
And it's not boring. I mean, I'm not a massive AC/DC fan. I do like it. I do like it, but yeah, to me it's all too much the same. But they've done it. They've stayed the same. They've still got the crowd going on, and they're fucking touring again next year or something. Are you going?
Oh no, they're touring November and December this year.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did buy a few tickets, but mainly because I've got a ticket for me secured, but I do have a few tickets because I thought, why not buy 4 tickets? So he's down for it.
I've never seen them, and I don't want to see it because I think I would have rather see them in their heyday.
Yeah, they are a bit like that.
Rather than almost retired.
Yeah, they've slowed down a lot, even in 10 years.
Yeah.
Because I follow bands on YouTube and stuff. But I'll tell you what, one band I'm really impressed with is Guns N' Roses when they changed the drummer from Frank Ferrer to Isaac Carpenter.
Yeah.
In that, it's brought a new energy to Slash and Axl and Duff. Like, Slash is running around the stage again like he was in his 20s.
Yeah.
When for a few years that seemed like he was slowed down.
Still finding his feet, still trying to get back in the groove. But.
Yeah. But in saying that, like, outside festivals, Slash was pretty much playing, what do you call it, theatre and convention centre size venues.
Yeah, for his solo project stuff.
Yeah. And before that, Velvet Revolver, that was pretty interesting career there.
Yeah.
But they kicked us, and Velvet Revolver, like, I remembered because it was Live 8. It was the day before I flew out to Bali, and we were staying at my dad's friend's house, and at the time he had Foxtel.
Yeah.
So Live 8 was on in London at that time, 2005. And we're watching it. Next thing you know, Velvet Revolver come out doing 4 pieces.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it's like 3 dudes from Guns N' Roses in this band. What are they about? And it's just like...
Oh, so you didn't know who they were at that point?
I didn't know Velvet Revolver. I knew Guns N' Roses. Like, I was already a Guns fan at this stage. But I had no idea, because internet wasn't like today. Back in 2005.
It was there, but yeah, it took a long time to load.
It was there, and in Lismore especially, you only had dial-up still.
Yeah.
So if you want to do research, it'll take 5 minutes for a page to load.
Yeah.
You know? It's not like today where on our phones we've got instant access.
Yeah.
You know, it's to the point that if somebody believes in their opinion, you can debunk that opinion with basically your fingertips.
Let's not go there.
We
'cause
won't. We don't
that's a
go
whole
there.
other
Sometimes we
conversation.
just nod our head and we just go along with it.
We'll have to wrap this up, I think, because I think if the phone hasn't already died, it may have.
Ooh.
So I'm recording this on an iPhone.
Yep.
Speaking of instant access, let's go back. Righteous Death, where do we find it?
Righteous Death, we're everywhere. Literally Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Deezer. But in saying that, you can follow our socials at Facebook,
Yeah.
as well as Instagram. I still don't have an X account yet, but you follow me, Jackson Marshall, on that.
Don't worry
X.
about that. It's 80% bots anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I've looked at that and was like,
Yeah.
But it's just like, yeah, we're pretty much everywhere. You can Google us as a band as well. And there's a few good interviews through Heavy Mag in there as well. So check it out.
All right, cool. Check out Righteous Death. And, man, thanks for coming in.
Dude, you're a
Cheers.
legend, man. It's been great.
All right, let's go make another Long Island Iced Tea.
Yeah.
I'm done. You still got a bit to go.
I do have a bit to go, you know? Because I can sit on a drink for an hour.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, guys. Dude, that was great, eh?